Hello YouTube, Wes here checking in with a brand new episode of the Vinyl Survivor Show. I believe we're on episode number 197. Hope you're all doing well, having a great day, great night whenever it is you're watching this. So as usual, the Vinyl Survivor series are 10 records pulled from my inbox. Give them a sort of a deep dive listen. And let you know what I think of each one, let you know whether they're going to be going to my permanent collection or not. So let's go ahead and get into it. 10 random records as usual. First album we have here is actually a compilation from 1981, and this is the Rolling Stones, Sucking in the 70s. This is the Rolling Stones' 6th compilation of their hits and whatnot. So well into their career, and we're in the early 80s here, so we got stuff from the 70s as the title would suggest. This has an inner sleeve, that's the reverse of the cover. And this is on the Rolling Stones custom label. And yeah, just a compilation of Rolling Stones 70s material. It was a good listen, enjoyable listen, but for me, I really don't care for this period of the Stones, I guess would be the best way to put it. I don't need to have it on vinyl anyway. So for me, this was just kind of a one and done kind of listen. I've heard it, and I'm not going to be keeping it. So Rolling Stones, Sucking in the 70s, not going to be a keeper for me. All right, next up from 1977, we have the 10th album by Pink Floyd, Animals. Classic album from Pink Floyd, and yeah, I love Pink Floyd, and I do enjoy this album, and so this is going to be a keeper for me. Not too much of a surprise there. There's the gatefold on it. This is a nice copy I picked up at the Tampa Record Show in 2013, so I picked this up 10 years ago now. Sometimes it takes me a while to get to a record for a deep dive kind of listen, but there is the inner sleeve with lyrics on it. Really political album. Yeah, really good solid album from Pink Floyd, where they're kind of making that turn to where they're going into their 70s and late 70s, early 80s material. Different period that some people like and some people don't like. I happen to be a person who does like that period of Pink Floyd, so this is definitely a liked album for me. There is the custom labels. This is a US copy of it. US Columbia copy. Yeah, I paid $8 for this at a record show in 2013, so kind of be interesting to see what this would sell for nowadays with the way vinyl prices have changed. Probably at least $20. It's a pretty nice copy. Yeah, Pink Floyd's Animals finally going into my permanent collection, so I can pull this out and it's going to be in my Pink Floyd collection. All right, next up from 1994, we have some hip-hop here. This is Notorious Big's Ready to Die, classic debut hip-hop album by Notorious Big. This is the 2017 Vinyl Me Please reissue of it, and they did a pretty amazing job reissuing this album. I had a Record Store Day version prior to this. I actually still have a Record Store Day version that's back there. That's pretty good, but I really do like this Vinyl Me Please edition where they did the foil embossing on it, and it has the original artwork, and the vinyl itself is pretty killer on that. So let me go ahead and show that to you. Inside of the sleeve, even though it's not a gatefold, it has printing on the inside. It says Ready to Die on the inside. And then the inner sleeves are similar. Pretty basic, and there's the art print that came with this Vinyl Me Please edition. And then they did a pretty awesome splatter vinyl on this. This is the first LP. Yeah, that's that's pretty awesome. And the second LP is not the same. It's different, which is very nice. And there is the second LP. So with white as the base color instead of red. and then the other two colors there. So yeah, I mean, a classic hip-hop album. I do really like this album. I've had it, you know, I've been listening to it since it came out in '94, and it's a classic. So this is definitely going to be staying in the collection. Here's the second album sleeve with some liner notes on it. So the Notorious Big from 1994, the 2017 Vinyl Me Please exclusive pressing of it. Absolutely a keeper in my collection. I am still undecided whether I'm going to keep my Record Store Day version or not. I don't know. I'm keeping it for now. We'll see. Next up, from 1969, we have another one from Pink Floyd here. This is Ummagumma, classic 2 LP set. One LP is live material, the other LP is a studio album. Pretty good, solid album from Pink Floyd. Maybe not my favorite, but you know, I do really love Pink Floyd, and I want to have everything I can. So this is going to be a keeper for me. You know, the live album is okay. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of live albums in general, unless they're really clean and crisp, and this is not necessarily clean, but nice album. The album itself is just okay in my opinion. There's the gatefold, and this is not an original pressing because the GG cover is missing, but this is a nice vintage Columbia, or Capitol, not Columbia, but it's got Harvest labels on it. There's the first LP and the second LP. So yeah, Ummagumma, just okay in my opinion when it comes to Pink Floyd, even though Pink Floyd in general is great. So, you know, a mediocre Pink Floyd album is better than majority of a lot of other bands' albums. So yeah, this is a keeper for me. I don't love it. It's not my first pick when it comes to Pink Floyd, but I do enjoy it, and I do want to have this in the collection. Okay, next up we have an electronic album from 2014. This is Odessa's In Return. Really sort of modern electronic kind of, it's not necessarily dancey music, it's not techno-y, but it's just electronic music that's really groovy, and I really do enjoy Odessa. They get a lot of guest vocalists to do some vocals on there. Yeah, just if you're into like synthwave and stuff like that, this is kind of in that wheelhouse, even though it's not synthwave, it's more modern electronic music. But it's if you like electronic music, modern stuff, you're gonna like this quite a bit. I do like it quite a bit. As you see, I have the vinyl version of it here. And the LPs look like that. Custom labels, black vinyl. So yeah, if you like modern, glitchy electronic music with some poppy kind of vocals on it, you'll dig Odessa, and I definitely dig this. It's kind of it's cinematic at times. I really like it, so it's going to be a keeper for me. I bought this with the intention of keeping it. So Odessa's In Return from 2014. That's their second album. All right, how about a little bit of jazz here? We got some jazz fusion by Justin Almario with the title Plumb Line. This is a pre-release sort of pressing with a generic sleeve, well, somewhat generic. It's printed, but it's not the actual cover of this album. This album actually does have a photo on the cover if you buy the regular version. But anyway, this is late 80s fusion jazz, so it's very Sunday morning light fusion jazz kind of stuff. My parents listened to a lot of that on the weekends when I was growing up, so I'm kind of used to this, and this was enjoyable, but in general, I'm not one that goes for that kind of fusion jazz. I like my fusion jazz to be a lot more heavy, a lot more rock and roll sounding. So yeah, this was enjoyable, but not for me. There There's the vinyl on that. It is pressed on some audiophile vinyl, so it is a bit translucent. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera there, but it does have a nice clean sound to it anyway. Okay, next up, how about a little bit of blues here? We have the Best of the Blues from the American Epic TV series that Jack White made back in 2017, I believe, is when this series was done. And yeah, American Epic was a really good series. If you haven't seen it, I do highly recommend it. It talks about early American kind of music from, you know, the 20s and the 30s, both sort of folky and bluesy stuff. And this is just a compilation of a bunch of artists on here from the 20s and 30s. You got Robert Johnson, Mississippi John Hurt, Charlie Patton, Willie Brown, Blind Willie Johnson, Blind Willie McTell, a bunch of other Sun Houses on here. Really nice compilation. They cleaned up the recordings pretty nice on these as well. They did a whole series of these releases to go along with the show. I did buy several of them. I did not buy all of them. This is on black vinyl. I believe these are some of the first LPs to ever be pressed at Third Man Records, which was pretty cool. They do sound very good. They're very nicely pressed. And yeah, as I said, they cleaned up the audio really nice on these, so they do sound quite good. So the American Epic Best of the Blues is going to be staying in my collection. All right, next up we have an test record from 1977 from the Shure Corporation that made cartridges. This is their Era 4, an audio obstacle course, so it's got a bunch of test tones and different tracks you can use to sort of check out your turntable setup. I have a couple of different ones of these already, and I decided I'm not going to keep this one, but it was a fun one to sort of explore and play around with, but not going to be a keeper for me. It does have a lot of detail on the inside, talking about, you know, the different things you want to check for and different things like that, how to use it and how to use the different tones and sounds and whatnot on here. And there's the custom label on this. Let's see. So yeah, not a keeper for me, but a fun one to play around with. Okay, next up from 1974, we have a little bit more jazz fusion, and this is Brian Auger's Oblivion Express with Straight Ahead. Yeah, this is definitely much more in my wheelhouse when it comes to jazz fusion. It's definitely a lot more of a rock influenced jazz fusion. And yeah, I enjoyed this, but it's not going to be a keeper for me. I didn't feel the need to keep this. It was okay. It was enjoyable, but I didn't love it. I didn't fall in love with it when I listened to it. This is on the RCA label, RCA Victor Orange label. Okay, and last but not least, how about some indie folk rock? This is from 2015 from the group Blessed Feathers. Their album is titled There Will Be No Sad Tomorrow. Really nice, you know, indie folk rock. If you just like that pleasant sort of folky kind of sound, really just, yeah, pleasant folky sounds is the best way to explain this. It's a little bit poppy at times. It's just a really good listen if you like modern indie folk kind of stuff, indie pop kind of stuff with a folky kind of tinge to it. I believe this is a Vinyl Me Please issue of it. It might be the only issue on vinyl of this. Just come with a booklet. Lots and lots of photos on it. Pretty cool. This was from before I actually subscribed to Vinyl Me Please. And then the inner sleeve has some more artwork. I just really like the artwork on this too. Really colorful and pretty, and kind of gives you a feel for the vibe of the album really nicely. And then the album itself is on this kind of lavender colored translucent vinyl. Oh yeah, so the Blessed Feathers, There Will Be No Sad Tomorrow, going to be a keeper for me. Really enjoyable, modern, indie folk rock kind of stuff. And I definitely dig this kind of stuff. So that's going to do it for this episode of The Vinyl Survivor. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave me any comments you have down in the comment section down below. If you aren't already, think about subscribing so you can be kept up to date with future episodes. Have a great day, a great night. Enjoy some great music, and we'll see you again real soon. Cheers.